Right, here we go. This is the Archer line now. Um, so we're talking about counters and what matchups are good for the different, what do you call it, different lines, the different military lines in AoE. We've already done the militia line, and now we're looking at the Archer line. Um, the Archer line starts off with the Archer, which you can pick up in Feudal Age. You've got the Crossbowman in Castle Age, and you have the Arbalester, whatever. You have that guy in the Imperial Age. Um, yeah, so military, Age of Empires, Papers as Rock. Archer's one of those core lines in Age of Empires. It's let's call them scissors, right? And actually, I think in the militia line I made him paper because he beats rock, and the militia was rock. Yeah, so archers are going to be good in those sorts of matchups, and there's going to be things where they're not going to be good. There's going to be things where someone is going to be scissors, and it's going to come along and cut archers. Yeah, that's generally speaking how all the matchups in Age of Empires work. If you make a good matchup, you're going to have a significant advantage. Right, upgrades that you need for your archers. In each, you got the attack upgrades, which can be found in the blacksmith. And in each new age, just like for the militia line, you're going to get a new attack upgrade. Depends on the civ. Maybe you're missing the last one in Imperial Age or things like that. But generally speaking, you'll start off with fletching, and then you'll go to in the same spot in blacksmith. You'll have the next one, and the next one. Those are your attack upgrades. You're going to have your defense upgrades, and your defense is your armor. Down here we've got, I think it's called padded archer armor or padded armor, something like that is the first one. And as you buy them in the next stage, you can buy a new one. Yeah. Unlike the militia line. Oh, I know what I missed for the militia line. Damn it, I missed squires. Shh. Pretend I put squires in there. Thumb ring. Thumb ring for the archers. It makes them shoot faster. That's what it does. It can be found in the archery range. Interestingly, what a thumb ring was is quite literally a ring that went on the thumb that you could hook into the bowstring and you could shoot with it. And different cultural groups around the world came up with different ways of doing it, and this one is a distinctly not European way of shooting a bow. I think it is not. I think it's up mid. Let's call it Mongolia, to the steppes. I think it's steppes, Steppes, steppes maybe, in those places. I think that's how they shot their bows. I could be wrong, but I think that's where the actual historical thumb ring came from. Whereas Europeans just like you started using their middle and ring finger, I think it is, to pull the bow and fire it. And of course, there's also a distinction in the type of archers you get. The Europeans, well, don't know about all the Europeans, but the English in particular have these giant big war bows, right? Whereas if you go further into the Central Asian place, they're like a more horse archery style, shorter bows, composite bows, those sorts of things. Yeah. But I digress. In Age of Empires, the thumb ring makes your archers shoot faster, which is quite useful because the more you shoot, the more damage you do. Ballistics. You can get ballistics in Castle Age, and it sits in the university, and it is a very useful tech to get, but it is rather expensive. From on the top of my head, it's like 300 wood or something like that, plus a food or gold cost. I forget what. Yeah, but it's a relatively expensive upgrade. But it means that your archers can now hit moving targets. They're not going to shoot where the person is. They're going to start shooting where the person is going, which means they hit more. And so if you're shooting more and more of your arrows are hitting, you're going to be doing damage. I don't know if any of you have suffered that annoying, you're shooting at scout. The TC is a good example. The scout runs with the TC and you got all your villagers in there and the arrows are going and they're just missing, because it's shooting where the scout is, not where the scout's going, and the scout's relatively fast. Same for your archers, you just want to get one more hit in and the scout's zigzagging and can't kill it for the life of you. So you can only get around that in Castle Age, and is mislead that it's got a cannon on it. Don't be deceived, it is for your archers, it is for your arrows. It will make your buildings, the arrows that are shot from buildings, more accurate too. Buy ballistics, well worth it when you can afford it. Even if it's just for your castles, honestly. The attack upgrade for your archers is also your attack upgrade for your buildings if they shoot arrows. So even if you're making cav and you've got a few castles, these are good things to buy. Chemistry. You can get in Imperial Age from the university. That's the thing that makes all the arrows go on fire. So if you know you've got a huge bunch of arbalists or arbalistas, and you're firing your arrows, they're all on fire, and it's all pretty and beautiful. This is the tech that's been doing that for you tech collectors buy everythings. Chemistry does that for you. I think in reality, I think it's only a +1 attack, but you know, every little bit helps. Um, oh, that's. I should also mention the attack upgrade and the blacksmith. Not only for your archers, not only gives you an extra attack, it gives you an extra range as well. So your towers will shoot a bit further, your castles will have a bit more range, and your archers will shoot a little bit further as well. Um, Back to chemistry. Behind chemistry, once you've got chemistry, you can start getting all the guns. So you can start making your, what are they called? Not janissaries. Your, not musketeers, hand cannoneers. You can make your hand cannoneers. You can make your bombard cannons. If your civ's got bombard towers, you're away, or the cannon galleys. Yeah. So chemistry does that for you. Get all these techs. The more of them you've got, the better. There is also, if you've got something like Vikings or some of the other civs, they get unique techs that make their archers stronger. First matchup, infantry. Archers versus infantry. Covered it in the militia line. Archers are going to win. They are the paper to the rock of infantry. Infantry are relatively slow. Archers are a little bit faster. And archers can shoot from a distance, and infantry can never catch them. So if a little bit of micro, run away, stop, fire, run away, stop, shoot, run away, shoot, run away, you know, the infantry just die. And in great numbers, let's say it's like 30 versus 30, all 30 archers can hit one infantry guy at the same time, killing it instantly. Even if the infantry get close, not all 30 of them can attack the same archer. So in big numbers, they like in a death ball, the archers are very, very good. All right, scouts. This depends again. So if a scout fights an archer one-on-one, the archer's going to die. And in a group, it comes down to numbers. In a big group, the archer's going to win. There are the armor upgrades for the scout make a big difference, and bloodlines as well to get extra health. It depends on the technologies with this Cav Archer matchup. Numbers and upgrades. Generally, if it's just, I would favour Cav, but because I'm lazy. But big death ball, archers are probably going to win. Yeah, I don't know. If you got a more definitive answer, let me know. I think there's a reason why the pros tend to play archers or cavalry, and it's that there is this depends situation, and if they can make that depends work for them, they win, as opposed to they play the militia line and they just lose. Towers beat archers. So if you are expecting a big ball of archers to come walking towards you and knock you off your gold, building a tower there, or off your wood line, building a tower there is a good solution as long as you're building it before the archers arrive. If you're trying to put up a tower and the archers are standing there, they will kill the vills before the tower goes up, if the archers are in enough numbers. The archers cannot kill towers, but they can, they obviously have the advantage that they can move. So you build your tower, archer moves on, finds the next place where you're weak. Skirmishers are their natural enemy. So skirmishers do quite a significant amount of bonus damage to the archers. So if you ever have a skirmisher versus an archer, the skirmisher's going to win that fight. There is an exception. There are some exceptions to this, and that's if the archers have a tech advantage. So if the archer has the fletching upgrade and the skirmisher player has forgotten to buy his armor, the archers can just out-micro them. They can stay at a range and they can do enough damage to kill the skirmishers quick enough, If the archers get in really close, the skirmisher actually has a minimum range. So he can't fire, whereas the archer has no minimum range. If he's inside the skirmisher's minimum range, he can not take damage again and he can wipe out the skirmishers. But generally speaking, a big ball of skirmishers is going to beat a big ball of archers. One-on-one, micro-intensive, archers have the ability to win. but it's not pretty. And while you're microing that, your economy is going to be suffering back at home. Always a good idea to mix in a few skirmishes with your archers if you see that your enemies also going archers. Yeah. Skirmishes also. Well, we'll talk about skirmishes when we get to skirmisher. Point is, see skirmishes, you probably don't want to fight with your archers. Castle Age. Crossbowmen. Crossbowmen, one of the things that I do, and you'll see me regularly do, this is actually talking about the skirmisher matchup. If I get to Castle Age first, I can buy the crossbow upgrade, I can buy the Castle Age attack upgrade, and I will take those big fights against skirms because there's enough of an advantage there in terms of the technology for the crossbow to win. And you see the pros do that all the time. The devs made crossbow upgrade more expensive in the last year or two to try and stop that kind of play. People were just going archers, microing them because pros can do that, getting the tech, dominating, winning the match, game over. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Leary, if you've stumbled across Leary, master of it. He actually has the ability to out micro ballistics, like he'll sidestep the arrow. I'm going this way, psych, step the other way, and the ballistics arrow with the technology will still miss him. Crazy good. But what we should be talking about is the matchup in Castle Age between crossbow and knights. This is a depends again. This is the cavalry versus archer matchup. Depends on upgrades and numbers. The cavalry, the knight, is going to win the one-on-one fight. It's got more HP, his punches a lot harder, the crossbowman doesn't have a chance. And the crossbowman can't run away either, the knight will hunt him down, the knight is faster. In groups, though, that same advantage that the crossbow has of all the archers being able to hit one unit, or, all being able to hit at the same time, whereas the cavalry, the infantry, they can't get to every unit that they want to hit. They bump into each other. They have to spread out. Those sorts of things means that in a big enough ball with a reasonable level of technology, the archers can wreck cavalry. For the knight, generally speaking, you want to have the second. He wants to have the second armor upgrade from the blacksmith before he starts taking engagements against the crossbows. Otherwise, the crossbows are just doing too much damage each hit, and the knights can't compete. But as you can see, we are talking quite specific things here. Like it really depends on the situation. Depends on numbers, depends on upgrades, on who's going to win this fight. Eagles! Right, bane of my existence. In theory, the eagle is a counter to the crossbowman. It's got high pierce armor, it doesn't take a lot of damage from each shot. However, if you've seen some of my gameplay videos, you will know that I often get caught out. I love playing my Incas. I'll play Incas. I'll start going into Eagles, and my Eagles will all die. Why? Because there is too many archers for that many Eagles, which brings me to the point. Yes, there are counter units. Skirmishers should beat archers. Skirmishers are a counter to archers. But the more important thing is going to be your numbers. Generally speaking, like spears will counter scouts, but 3 scouts can kill a spear without any of the scouts dying. And then they can kill the next one. And then they can kill the next, So numbers are an important factor as well. And that's one of the big advantages of archers. You can start massing them in the feudal age. You can get that relatively cheap. You can get a lot of them. And once you've got a big enough number, they hit really rather hard. Knights, you can only get in castle age. Eagles produce slower in feudal age, so they're harder to mess up. I probably should be buying them in feudal age and start massing them rather than starting from 0 in castle age, and that's maybe why I'm getting caught out, but numbers matter. Once you hit imperial age though, Eagle Warrior, is Eagle Warrior? Whatever the max evolution of Eagle is, dominates. It's got so much PS armor, and then Incas get a extra lot of PS armor, so they're the Eagles. The Eagles are strong. Eagles are strong. Eagles will beat archers if you can keep the fights going for long enough. Right, cavalry archers. Cavalry archer. Why have I got a question mark here? Oh, that's why I've got a question mark here. I remember. Cavalry archers will beat an archer in a one-on-one fight. Straight up, they've got more HP. Cavalry archers also get the choice of when to take the fight. They can run away or they can come in and engage. They get to choose if they're going to fight or not. However, crossbowmen do have the advantage. Do have the ability to hit from range. So if your opponent is going into cav archers and you go into knights, the cav archer can just run away from the knight. Never has to fight him. And they can get close, they can run away. Same for infantry. Whereas if you go to the archer line, if the cav archer gets close enough, you can still hit them, do some damage. You know, you hit each other, you can take the numbers down a little. I wouldn't say that the archer actually counts as the cavalry archer, but it does have a fighting chance, yeah, especially in numbers, because the cavalry archer you can only make that in Castle Age. The archer you can start massing in feudal, and numbers are important. So that's why I've put depends, but in the cavalry archer is going to move faster, have more hit points. He is the tankier of these two units, and he hits hard as well. So it comes down to the numbers at the time. The camel gets wrecked here. The camel, as we found out when I did my militia testing, doesn't hit that hard. It's only hits as hard as an infantry, and it has all the same problems that infantry and knights cavalry have against the crossbowmen, which is it's going to bump, it can't hit, whereas all the crossbowmen can hit the camel and just shred them. And the camel has less armor than what the knight does. So if the knight has to wait for the second armor, the camel has to wait for the third armor. Look, it's not a good matchup for the camels. So if you see your opponent, if you're going knights and you've got crossbow, great, you can deal with camels. Yeah, crossbows are going to be a good counter to camels. Mangonels, siege in general. The crossbowmen, just like with the tower, those sort of hard wooden surfaces, arrows don't seem to do much damage to that. They're like soft, fleshy targets. A tower, made of wood. Siege, made of wood. Mangonel, made of wood. Actually, is this an onager? This could be the onager. We'll call it the mangonel line then. If you see this coming, you need to leave. You can out-micro them. Archers can out-micro mangonels, but they are soft, squishy targets, and if they get hit by a big rock, they will go splish. The good guys can out-micro them. You can do split micro, that sort of thing. So, I have done it. I have out-microed mangonels, but then more times than not, the mangonels have just wrecked my archers. It's not worth it. Very micro-intensive. My economy suffers. And yeah, if they roll out with two mangonels, I can't out-micro that. I split and they kill half my archers. You know, it's mangonels counter archers pretty well. So if you see a big ball of archers coming towards you, and you don't have a big ball of skirmishers, mangonels are a good option to have, or a big ball of knights. You know, you don't have something in number. Mangonels, make one, make two, and you can keep the archers at bay. That is a strong option. The other siege unit, Scorpions, same thing, made of wood, archer, doesn't deal well with wood, and the Scorpion Bolt will damage a lot of these soft, squishy archers on the way through. A battering ram, one of the strategies against strong archer sibs, I'm thinking specifically of the British here, is to get rams, siege rams, and just put them at the front, and the archers fire all the arrows into them, and the rams don't die, and while they're firing arrows into the rams, they're not firing arrows into the squishy units, and then the squishy units can get close enough to the archers to actually hurt them. So yeah, siege, solid counter to the archers, even in large numbers. It's one of the only ones where it's going to work even in large numbers. Oh yes, this is an important piece of information. Because your archers have a lot of range in their attack and they see a lot, if you have them on an aggressive stance, they walk under TCs, they follow units, they get lost, yeah? So generally speaking, on the left, these are the stances. Normally when you're controlling your units, down in the bottom left corner, you can see this panel. When using archers, you want to have it on the stand ground stance. Over here on the right, I've blown up the stand ground stance so you can see it. And what this means is that your archers will stand there, and if a enemy unit comes into range, they will shoot it. But they won't follow it. They won't do anything stupid, which is generally an advantage. Although there have been occasions where I've had a whole big clump of my archers standing there on on stand ground stance, and the mangonellas just rocked on in, dropped a rock, and they just stand there, and they never get a shot off, and they just all die because I was off putting down farms or something stupid. But generally speaking, stand ground stance is going to be a better option than aggressive stance or even defensive stance. Yeah, so keep your archers a little bit more alive by using that. Once again, in case you missed them from the top, these are the upgrades. I'll quickly go through them again, save you going back in the video. Attack upgrade in the blacksmith. Armor upgrade in the blacksmith. Attack upgrade also gives you a range, an extra range. You can shoot one tile more distance, that kind of range, not like an archery range. Thrum ring, shoot faster. Ballistics, hit moving targets. Chemistry, make your arrows go on fire and do a little bit more damage. This is the archer line. In the feudal age, you have the archer. Then you can upgrade in the castle age to the crossbowman. And then finally, in imperial, you have the arbalester. Arbalester? I don't know. Once again, let me know. Can I tell by look? You guys can tell me. You guys can do some research. There you go. Very good against they're actually very good against anything if they're in high enough numbers. And with good enough micro, high enough numbers, you can rule the world with archers. There's not really a reason not to. Their natural counter is skirmisher. Their natural counter is skirmisher, large numbers of skirmisher, and siege. I would say siege is the way to go against them. Like, to help buy yourself time to get a big ball of skirmishers to deal with the archers. Yeah. Anything else we need to say about the archer? Not really. No. I think that's it. Yeah. Militia was rock, archer is paper, skirmishers scissors. Yeah. So the militia line is going to wreck the skirmishers. The skirmishers should beat the archers, and the archers are going to wreck the militia line. And you got your paper, scissors, rock set up, and that is the pattern. That is going to be the pattern that you see over and over again in Age of Empires. I would just like to end off by emphasizing once again that if you do not have numbers to compete with archers, you need to make siege. You can't send in skirmishers one by one. I've suffered a lot. Even playing against the AI, sending in like a 1 skirmisher, 2 skirmisher, 3 skirmisher, and just watching them die to this big ball of archers. Make some siege. Make your life a little bit easier. That's the way forward. Cool. Hopefully that was helpful for you all. And we'll put together another counter video shortly.